Well, hello out there, planet Earth, and happy Friday. Super hot week here in the Northeast. I didn't even want to play golf. I still did, but I didn't want to. Super glad that we got the kids multiple fans for camp. I'm sure those went to big use this week. Anyway, it's Friday, and it's always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. ICYMI, or in case you missed it, SMB stands for Small and Medium-Sized Business. For the last 20 years, I've been a consultant for SMBs, a voice and a sounding board for business leaders, advocating on their behalf, their employees too. I believe very strongly, everybody, in sharing stories, providing perspective, and creating connection. So every single Friday, you can find me here on talkradio.nyc doing just that, lending what's left of my mind and my voice to this radio show where I interview SMB leaders and their trusted advisors. One thing that I've noticed over the years, everyone, some of the best thought leadership for SMBs, it actually happens on Friday, just about the time we feel that freedom of the weekend coming. However, we're also anxious to start the weekend. These crucial pearls of wisdom, they're often overlooked, they're forgotten, they're eased aside in favor of our fun activities and our freedom from work. Here on the show, we take advantage of that weekend freedom and clarity, and we discuss popular topics that are on the minds of SMB leaders and their trusted advisors. Once again, the name of the show, not just a play on words. My last name means free in German, so a little food for thought for everybody out there. I wanted to wish my little girl, who you can see in the picture out there in TV land if you're watching, a very happy 8th birthday. She turned 8 while in bunk 8 yesterday. I'm thrilled my kids are having so much fun at camp. However, I'm a little sad that I won't really be celebrating my little girl's birthday with her in person for the next handful of years because she's going to be at camp. My daughter and I, both summer babies, we even have the same initials. My kids have been gone almost 5 weeks, and my wife and I had all these grand plans for what we were going to accomplish this summer. And as you can imagine, the first 2 days they were gone, we got done a few things, but we significantly trailed off after that. So now we're playing catch up on everything that we wanted to do this summer while they're gone, because we noticed they're going to be back in 2 weeks. So not much time left at this point. Thought it was a very relatable topic to discuss today with my special guests, which we're going to be chatting a little bit about your life productive. Finally, aside from sharing initials, my little girl and I share another acronym, which is referred to as ADHD. She being 8 years old, we discovered it kind of early. And me, there was plenty of all the evidence out there that it was happening early on. I know you guys who've watched me for 130 episodes probably can assume that it's there in full-blown colors. But adult ADHD is a very serious thing. It affects a lot of people out there, especially in the business world, especially in the world of entrepreneurs. There is a way to navigate it and live life productively. And I look forward to talking more about it today because hopefully I can deploy some strategies in the next 2 weeks to get some things done before these kids get home. But, it is something that a lot of people in the population live with. As my special guest will relate as we talk, it is not something that is necessarily developed by all of the phones and distractions that we have out there. It is a little bit of a chemical difference in the brain, but we're going to let my special guest geek out about that once we dive into it. Talk is cheap. We know that. We're on talkradio.nyc. We don't want this to just be talk. The goal here, everyone, is let's use the insight on the business landscape and create more impact on Monday morning. That's it. It's far too often that the businesses I deal with, they're focused on some type of product that's going to solve all of their problems. The magic wand, the new app, the shiny new mousetrap, whatever it is. One consistent thing I see out there, these products, they change every single day in every facet of our lives. Business, personal, doesn't really matter. Everything begins and ends with the people. You have to surround yourself with the right people first and focus on the process that will help you achieve your goals. You do that, you'll find the right products when you need them, I promise you. So I know I have the right people around me today, and just the couple of conversations I've had with this special guest in the last handful of months, she's got a lot of pearls of wisdom to share with you guys on what's going on out there in the world of productivity, in the world of living with adult ADHD. Our special guest today is Coach Julie Shulam, founder of Coach Julie and of JS Designs Unlimited. So Coach Julie has been a productivity coach and consultant for over 3 decades. She's written books and blogs on all aspects of productivity, in addition to having her own columns in both print and online publications. She's been coaching leaders from companies such as Capital One, Visa, Chevron, Bayer, Ball Corporation, Intuit, Salesforce, Amazon, Facebook, LogMeIn, Siemens, Warner Brothers, Capital One, Google, and Fidelity. You know, a bunch of small, medium-sized businesses, right? Just to name a few, right? So the idea of corporate productivity coaching, very, very big here. Leaders use her guidance and tools to improve their ability to level up and improve their position and influence. Julia has helped thousands in her workshops, presentations, and with her one-to-one coaching to improve their skill set to positively affect multiple areas of their lives. Coach Julie Shulam, there's a whole bunch of alphabet soup after the name, MSPCC, CPC, is a member of the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, the ICF Georgia, which is the Georgia chapter, the ACO, ADHD Coaches Organization, and was previously a longstanding Golden Circle member of NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers, as well as NSA, not the National Security Agency, but the National Speakers Association, and the NAPW as well, National Association of Professional Women, among others. She's got a big resume. She's got a lot of travels behind her. She's authored some books. We're going to talk all about that. She is absolutely the person to speak with if you are looking to get it together and be more productive. As always, we're going to discuss my favorite questions around movies, TV, and music, simply because I can't help myself. Joining us from sunny Georgia, not exactly Hotlanta, but a little bit an hour and a half away, northern Georgia, Coach Julie, welcome to Always Friday. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Stephen. It's really great to be here. It was quite an introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I got to take a breath and maybe a drink, but Julie, this is the more I talk to you, the more intrigued I get, the more I want to talk about your travels, your experience, your programs, your coaching. But now's the time for you to talk to everybody out there in listening land a little bit about your journey. Tell us how you got where you are today, please.
Okay, it's kind of an interesting story.
I wouldn't want you to tell it if it wasn't.
No, it's not boring.
Not boring.
But I actually started as a business consultant. I'm not going to say how long ago, but a long time ago. Yeah, that long ago. And I was working with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. I had started my own company. I had another business with my former husband, and we started companies. This is what we did, what I love doing. And so I was working with a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. This word solopreneur wasn't even a thing then, but
before it was fashionable.
Small business owners. And I had a way of being able to help get systems set up and get them organized. So that's really what I was doing at the beginning. And I did that for a long time. And then about 21 years ago, I realized, okay, I can actually have more impact in a broader scope by coaching. And I didn't know about coaching at the time at all. So I learned quickly and then went and got all my certifications and did all that. And I started coaching more people. And interestingly, at that time, what kind of had this shift and created this pivot for me was as I was organizing and working with these various businesses, every single one of my clients in the course of 1 year, and I kid you not, course of 1 year, every one of my clients said, oh, by the way, I have ADHD. And I said, okay, that explains a lot because I was having to come up with some really creative systems for the way that their brains were working. And I realized, okay, this is amazing. And then it started also making a lot of sense because I then learned at the time, statistically, it was shown that about 35% of entrepreneurs have ADHD, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a certain personality, that tends to be those that will be starting their own business, let's say. And,
march to their own beat. What a shock.
That, yeah. And also, that little bit of risk-taking behavior is very part of that, of course. So I found this was fascinating. I love starting businesses. I loved helping business owners. And here I'm finding this entire group of people that don't really have anyone that they can talk to and who gets them. And I got that. I understood. And I learned a lot. I went through a lot of courses and spoke to a lot of professionals and became an expert in the ADHD community as well. So organizing, consulting, coaching, ADHD, I put it all together. And that's kind of my happy space for people.
I don't know if it's a birds of a feather flock together or a not only am I president of the Hair Club for Men, I'm also a member type of discussion. But I feel like I recognize it everywhere nowadays, and like again, like I don't know if the right thing to say is I suffer from it or I deal with it.
Struggle.
I struggle with it. Thank you. I
Yes.
struggle with it on a daily basis, personally and professionally, all of that, and it does lend itself to a lot of risk taking and fun and creativity and all of that here and there,
Exactly.
which is
Yes.
great.
It is
But
wonderful.
it is not easy, and
It's
to
a
reel
challenge.
some of the folks in out there who are as you said, small medium sized business owners, entrepreneurs. 35% of them have ADHD. They march to their own beat, and a lot of times that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur. But when
Yes.
it comes to reeling the folks in so that they can be the best version of themselves, not the easiest task.
That's a little more complicated, but not without possibility and potential. So
Hey,
yeah,
I'm a big nothing's impossible, Julie. So it's
yeah,
like
I
nothing's
am too.
impossible.
Nothing's impossible. And I sing that same song. And I really love to be able to help someone to see that they can harness their skills. They can rein in this talent. They can have the organization and management of their life and structure that they need. That's what I spend my time doing. I work all day with people who are like, fix this, make my life work, please. So I help put structure where it doesn't exist. And I teach how to make it easy, because if we overcomplicate it, no one's going to do it.
But the whole fix it part to me is like where it starts to I really think about it. It's not broken. It's just everybody's a little different. And it's like a custom tailored suit type of discussion. Again, it's like what works for one person is not going to work for somebody else. Period. And while I recognize it out there, like again, I know that I struggle with it. And Tommy D on right before me, he admitted, like right to everybody, I like no kidding. I have ADHD, right? So it's everybody looks at me and Tommy and goes, no kidding. Of course you have ADHD. Yeah, but when you recognize it in some other people, especially some really seasoned professional people, as you've no doubt dealt with along the way from the resume that I read off before, I spot it and I am sensitive to it. Where some other people that I know and that I work with and strategic partners will be like, "Oh, I love this guy, but he's crazy." It's not insanity.
No,
It's
it's
just I
not.
recognize it immediately. I'm like, he's not
Yeah.
crazy.
No,
Logan,
no.
the engineer, says he has it too. So Logan, I feel you,
Yeah.
brother. I got you.
Yeah, it isn't. And I really like to emphasize to the people I work with that, this is, I don't, honestly, my personal feeling, I don't like the disorder part of the D at the end. It's a difference because, my own son has it and I don't consider him broken or having a disorder. It's a difference. Is it a little bit of a challenge? Yes, at times.
Disorder, not difference. I think that's a huge thing to remember with this. I mean, I'm sorry, difference, not disorder. Right,
Difference,
the other
not
way around.
disorder.
Yeah, difference, not disorder.
Yeah,
Right.
sit and repeat.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what I'm always, emphasizing is you got some superpowers too. And that's what's so awesome. And I love being able to show people, hey, you've got this ability that you can use and I'll help you to harness it so that you can actually use it for good and be able to actually have some great success.
What I'll leave everybody with before we take a break is, I was always I liked school, and it always came a little bit. I don't want to say easy to me because nothing in this world that's worth doing is easy, but I found it to be simpler than other things in a lot of ways. But there was constant feedback from teachers along the way, and when I was a kid, it wasn't really something that my parents and other parents necessarily believed in, but it said things like demonstrates lack of self-control. And that's like again, you're not necessarily in control of how you're wired. You're just wired that way.
Yes.
So it's not really a disorder that needs to be regulated. It's a difference that needs to be navigated. Yes?
That's well said.
That's so
Well said.
There you go.
We're done.
I would drop the mic, but it's hooked up to the table. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Coach Julie Shulam, founder at Coach Julie and JS Designs Unlimited. Stay with us. Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday. It's always Friday, and it's me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with the one and only Coach Julie Shulam, specializing in helping folks with adult ADHD, bringing them from procrastinators to producers. Very common sentiment shared by a couple of brilliant minds out there, which I can't wait to pick your brain apart in this next segment, Julie, as to the method behind your madness. Before we dive fully into it, I do like to sit out by my fire pit, if you'll indulge me, to just tell a quick perspective and story before we kick this off. You know, my younger daughter, Sloan, again, same initials as me, same acronym that we struggle with, ADHD. She also happens to be a really strong reader. Like, we have to keep sending her books at camp because she's reading through all of them. Meanwhile, my older daughter, Hayden, 3 years older than her, has actual summer reading to do and could care less while she's at camp. She's in the camp play tonight, which I wish they would video for me and give to me so I could actually check it out, but I haven't seen it in the past. But you know, she has actual work to do, and she's not there yet. My younger one, reading away. When I look at Coach Julie's website, not only is Coach Julie an author, I got to check out this book Order that she wrote. And, you know, you could obviously tell us a little bit about it, but she also has some resources from a couple of other authors up there. So this book called Driven to Distraction immediately grabbed my eye, which I can't wait to get this book. I asked Julie during some of our conversations, the adult ADHD portion of things is like, is it kind of characteristic for everyone to crave distraction? And she's like, oh yeah. So Driven to Distraction, that's been me as early on as I can remember. And then the idea of the disorganized mind, another book here written by some folks who really seem to specialize in the industry. in this type of world, this difference that everyone has to navigate if they suffer from it or if they struggle with it. But I've always considered my mind and my desk to be organized chaos as opposed to disorganized. But we could certainly navigate the semantics of that. There was a book that I told Coach Julie about called From Procrastination to Production by Jeffrey Combs. I used to speak with Jeffrey Combs as one of the coaches, folks, what have you, in my world. It was going on like 13 years ago, I think it was. That's when this book came out. And it really spoke to me a lot as far as the different types of procrastinators out there. I'm not going to go crazy with this, but I fished it off the shelf, right? And I think I might have talked about it in one of my earlier episodes a couple of years ago. But there were a bunch of different kinds of procrastinators named here. There was the neurotic perfectionist, the big deal chaser, the chronic worrier, the rebellious rebel, the drama addict, the angry giver, and I remember the overcommitter too. I don't see that in here, but some of these different categories of procrastinators, and at the root of it, ADHD most likely. Well, maybe not every single one of them, but it helped me relate a lot to myself. I have always been a big procrastinator, and I don't really consider it to be a good habit, but a lot of times the folks who struggle with ADHD, they work well under pressure. And I'm definitely one of those. Like, if I need to throw together some pictures and notes for my radio show, I can do it an hour beforehand. I don't like doing that. I don't like putting unnecessary stress on myself, but I'm committed to a lot of projects, a lot of clients, a lot of ventures, a lot of initiatives. So sometimes I wait till the last minute. Again, not a good thing. I have to engage Julie myself. Coach Julie needs to potentially help me out once, twice a month, whatever it is. So I'm going to let her paint the picture of the method behind her madness. Julie, the method part of the show, the science behind what you do. This is where we like to talk to everybody about exactly what you're doing, exactly how you're doing it, and exactly how you're going to market for it. I'm very curious, being somebody who works in the SMB world, how you got matched up with a whole bunch of those big business folks. But lay it on us. Give us some of the method behind your madness.
Well, it's kind of funny because the people who you mentioned, the companies that they work at, these are independent people. This is not a company calling me and saying, "Hey, we'd like you to take care of all this," although I can and would. But but it's interesting that I have people finding me literally all over the world. I have international reach. And these are people that are not able to get help with their ADHD challenges in the country that they're in, and they come to me. And this is what I love. I love the fact that A, I get to help all these people, and B, that they're from all over the world. It's amazing. We just have a time difference to figure out, and other than that, it's all good.
That's all navigable for sure. But not to interrupt, but and believe me, I'm somebody who likes to preach the idea that businesses, especially SMBs, they're made up of individuals. So you got to think of a lot of this from the people perspective and be people first. However, there's also the idea of corporate productivity coaching, which not to derail what your thought process was just now, but this idea intrigues me very much just because a lot of the organizations I've worked with are very sales centric. And when you're dealing with sales centric organizations, you're definitely dealing with a lot of type A personalities and presumably some heavy ADHD folks. But anyway, not to change the topic. I digress. Let's go back to some of these individuals that you actually coach. So entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, executive C-suite, adults with ADHD. That feels like everybody to me these days.
It's not.
It's not. Okay.
And honestly, not everyone I work with has ADHD.
Right.
It just happens to be that is one of my specialties. And I'm uniquely qualified to be able to do that because of all my training and my years of experience. So I like to be able to do that because it's where I can have so much impact and help someone who's really struggling. And I've got, oh my gosh, so many success stories that I can share with you later. But what I do, as you had asked, is I really get to know the person and find out, okay, what's going on? What's working for you? What's not working for you? I do a very comprehensive intake session so that I get a really great picture of, okay, what is this person's life like? Where is their joy? Where are their struggles? What's going on for them? And finding out, how are they taking care of themselves? Because a lot of this has to do with, are you sleeping well? Are you eating properly? Are you moving? Are you exercising? All these things have impact on our brain, obviously, and on our productivity.
Sure.
And also making sure that those three things are in a good place. I kind of liken it to a skyscraper. We have to kind of get the foundation really strong before we start adding, building the building on top of it, or the whole thing's going to crash. Nothing's going to stay in place. So I'm really very much involved with making sure that those things are intact. And then from there, I teach skills. I literally teach skills. We put structure in place. All of us need structure. And this is where a lot of the problems begin, is because, we go off to college or we get off on our own and, we're off doing our thing and we have no more structure, because that imposed structure when we were in school, living at home, that we could count on. I help people put structure back into their life. And what a lot of my clients tell me, they'll say, oh, but I like to have spontaneity and I want to be able to be free to do this and this and this. Putting structure in your life is not going to stop that from happening.
Yeah, exactly.
It can actually give you the control that you want. You get to be in control of your schedule in your life.
We've talked a lot on my show about the difference between responsive versus reactive. And, it's like when you have to react to something, I feel like it just always comes with a negative connotation to it. It's like you get thrown something, and if you feel like you're reacting to it, it feels rushed. There's no process. That it feels like it's different every time, where responsive is more like an engineered type of solution to something, where you don't freak out. It's not a fire drill, and you kind of just know what to do when it's thrown at you, right?
Exactly. And the thing is that you want to make sure that you're not put in that constant state of stress.
Yes.
Because we don't make really great decisions sometimes when we're in that mode. And not only that, but it really weighs on our body. So I help people reduce, actually my tagline is balancing your overwhelmed world.
Yes.
I reduce overwhelm. And that's what I'm working on doing at all times, is helping to reduce that overwhelm. And that makes a huge difference.
That tagline is a phenomenal segue into the madness segment, which we're going to dive into in just a moment here. But one of your blog posts, I was taking a look through all of your archives. It says, worried and anxious, like these steps could help. And it shows a couple of signs that say stressed, anxious, and worried. And when you say like adults with ADHD, not everybody has ADHD. I look at my wife and I, right? I 100% have ADHD. I'm not convinced necessarily that she does, but she has a lot of high anxiety types of issues. And, sometimes I feel like they might like kind of masquerade as the other one. Like, I'm sure we'll dive into that a little bit in some of the things that we talk about here, but it's like, sometimes I feel like it actually throws the personality and the person themselves for a little bit of a loop. If they're overly anxious, they might exhibit some characteristics of some of the other folks out there that truly struggle with ADHD.
Yeah. And it's important to get an actual diagnosis if you're really thinking that that's where you're headed, because there are things that can mask and look like ADHD, and it's not. So you want to make sure that you really do know what it is you're dealing with. And honestly, I've had so many of the people that come to me, often they're in their 40s and 50s or 60s, recently diagnosed. And they call me and they say, okay, I just got this diagnosis. It explains so much, and they start having this huge sense of relief. They go, oh my goodness, it's not me.
I knew there was something there.
Yay. But now they want to learn, okay, how do I overcome this? Or how do I work with it?
How do I navigate it?
Accommodate. Yeah. How do you navigate it? And there are ways to do that.
Yeah, it's just like, look, it's not that anybody uses maps anymore, but even if you're using Waze to go places, there's a couple of different routes to get there. That's why I look at it as that this is the way to navigate it. It's not going to be one right or wrong answer, and it's definitely not going to be one right or wrong answer for everyone you meet because everybody's different.
100%. And the thing that I always stress when I'm working with someone, every person is obviously different, even though maybe they have ADHD like half the other people I work with do. But the way it manifests and the way that they respond and the way that they're functioning, it's all different. So the way that I work is everything is tailored to that person. There is no program or set method that I have to go by because I don't know what this person's going to present with. So,
well, I'll tell you straight up that I do crave distraction, and one of those distractions is live music. So I'm looking forward to seeing some live music later this evening. I'm going to see a band called Splintered Sunlight, which is a Grateful Dead cover band. They're playing at the Vogel Theater in Red Bank, so I'm very excited for that. Shout out to the folks at Splintered Sunlight and the Vogel. But we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with Coach Julie Schulem, specialist at helping folks be productive. If you're looking to be productive, this is the one you need to speak to. This is the person. Coach Julie's where you need to look. Stay with us, everybody.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. Not just me. We are joined by Coach Julie Schulem. Coach Julie herself, that's Juli. Leave off that final E, Coach Julie. I love when names are spelled a little uniquely. It's very memorable to me, Coach Julie. CoachJulie.com, so CoachJuli.com. That's where you will find her. So quick shout out to new host on talkradio.nyc coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon, the Hard Skills Podcast with Dr. Mira Brancu. That's starting today after Matthew's Intangify Hour, right after Always Friday. But back to what we're talking about here with Coach Julie. Coach Julie, this is the madness part of the show. And like you just alluded to, your tagline for a number of years has been balancing your overwhelmed world. So for a multitude of reasons, I think that a lot of us are living in an overwhelmed world these days. And I'll kick it off with this one, which you might not anticipate I'm going to go in this direction, but you have a decent amount of blogs that I checked out, and this one struck a nerve with me. So 5-minute tasks, making working from home efficient, right? So the picture here, for those of you who aren't watching, is someone in a suit with a computer, with an ironing board, with an iron, with clothes. Like, this is how I feel when I'm working from home. And I love the ability to work from home. Now, I also love being surrounded by noise, which is probably another ADHD type of thing. I crave distraction. I like music and movies and things playing in the background all the time. So to go be in a place where my colleagues and strategic partners and folks that I work with on a daily basis, I love having that as well. I just don't like being mandated to do one or the other. The ability to have a place to go to commiserate with your colleagues and strategic partners, great. The ability to stay at home and work virtually, great. But I do find myself doing a whole lot of household tasks while I'm trying to get some things done, especially now when we've procrastinated a fair amount of the summer getting done all the home improvements we wanted to do before the kids get home. So now we're busy going through everything, throwing things out. My wife is selling our entire lives on Facebook Marketplace and all these different sites that are going on. Seriously, Coach Julie, I expect to see slightly used husband for the last 15 years posted next. Like, take him, deal with him. But this is the madness part of the show, the stories that we have from the field, the artistic observational part of what you do. No story too taboo, anything goes. There's a lot here, obviously, and I'm very intrigued by all of it as somebody who's been reading up and thinking about this for the last handful of years, pretty significantly. But we want to hear a little bit about the stories you have from the field, Coach Julie. Tell us a little bit of some of the madness you've encountered out there, positive and negative.
Well, I get so excited to share the success stories and the things that have happened with the clients that I've been working with. And of course, for confidentiality purposes, no names will be mentioned.
Fair enough.
I've had a number of people in the last couple, 3 years actually, who have been put on a PIP, a personal or professional improvement plan. And this is, for those that may not know, this is pretty much your kind of a last ditch effort by the company you work with to help for you to kind of get your act together, if you will, before you're fired. And it's never a good thing. So nope. I have a couple of great stories. I had this one woman a couple of 3 years ago where her boss told her, you know what, you need to either be able to get things done, improve your follow through, or we can't keep you. And she was contract, so she was easily dispensable. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
And she was really upset about this. She came to me. Now there was no discussion of ADHD talk in this, so whether she had it or not, I do not know. And I don't diagnose, of course, but we worked through the challenges she had, put some systems into place, helped her with her schedule. Scheduling is so important. I tell people your calendar is the GPS of your life. It needs to be in place. You need to know how to use it. And so many people honestly do not know how to use the calendar well. People use a calendar, but not necessarily, even if they even use a calendar, they don't always use it properly. There is a way that I teach how to do it that is really mind-blowing for most. So anyway, worked with her. She had 3 months to get everything in place. By month 2, her boss took her aside and said, not only have you completely changed how you're working, she got a full-time contract, full-time position. She got a promotion and got a leadership role.
I was going to say, was the next step if she had to teach everyone else how to do what she did?
3 months. She rocked it. It was
great,
phenomenal. I couldn't be more happy for her. And the same thing happened recently with another client. He had 4 months to get off of his PIP. And he said, and we're at 2 months now. He said, I just need to let you know, I'm off my PIP. My supervisor is blown away with what I've been able to achieve. And he was a high producing individual in the company. So they didn't, losing him was not going to be a good thing. And he loves the techniques and the tools, the skills that I've taught him so far. He said, you're not going to be allowed to leave coaching me. This is not going to stop because you just keep blowing me away with the things that I get to learn and do. And I love that I get to help people and change their lives in this fashion.
I mean, that's so big. Personal professional improvement plan, as opposed to personal injury protection for those of you lawyers out there going, what does she mean? That's not what PIP is. But the personal performance improvement plan, whether you're an entrepreneur who likes to take on risk, or you're in some type of sales business development role, which a lot of times is where you'll see the PIP, the performance improvement types of plans. That's really important. So like the fact that, that's the type of impact that you were able to leave these folks with, that's huge. And again, even though you're in the driver's seat and you're the boss when you're your own business owner, sometimes it's that those are the ones that need the most type of help with this type of thing to really make sure they're being as effective as possible, not just for themselves, but for the people who look up to them.
Well, and to that point, a lot of the times as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, you don't have anybody to go to.
Right.
You don't have someone that you can confide in necessarily because they work for you. So what I'm oftentimes used as for my clients is a sounding board. I am their business consultant, if you will. I am that person they can say, hey, I don't know what to do. I've got this employee and this is the problem we're having and I don't know how to deal with this. No problem. I worked with a woman who has this awesome coffee house in another state. And she said, I don't know how to deal with my employees. They're all in their 20s and I'm not. And I'm like, I got you. Because I've spent a lot of time working with college students because usually when someone goes to college, that's when the ADHD component tends to be noticed. And
you mean when we skip classes to play video games and
yeah, that problem. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of students off of academic probation. Let's just put it that way. And
which I was never on, by the way, but I definitely was easily distracted.
But I teach them how to be successful academically, which then also influences their career. So the skills I teach when someone's in the college realm actually carries forward into their professional life, which is fantastic. So it's very, very awesome. I love being able to do what I do.
So I love you doing what you're doing. And, again, I strive to always be just a kick-ass business solutions consultant, right? That's a lot of what my initiatives revolve around. With that said, there are a bunch of different initiatives. And I saw this blog post too. It's like, so we've talked about a lot of different things here thus far, right? Coach, therapist, mentor, or consultant. Who do you hire for what? And I'm sure you feel this way very often, but in the things that I do, full-time, part-time, consultative, whatever, I feel like I end up being the crux of all of these things, and you probably do too.
Yes, but there is a difference between all of them,
Yes.
and I do help people understand what the differences are, especially between coach and therapist. A lot of times
yeah.
think there's that they're one and the same. They are not. And actually a lot of therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists send patients to me because I can pick up often where they leave off, because I will do the more pragmatic, okay, here's how we're going to get this sorted, and I help hold these people accountable. And if when there's a hiccup, and I am right there, and we're gonna solve that issue. We're gonna deal with it right away.
If this hits home with any of you out there, as much as it hits home with me, you guys need to email Julie immediately. Her email is balance@coachjulie, that's JULI.com. And rest assured that if you email Coach Julie, her inbox does not show 9,999 messages like the way I'm sure a lot of ours do that suffer and struggle with ADHD out there. She will see it, and she will find it, and she will find you, and she will respond to you. And I know she's got a little something special that we're going to throw out in the next segment right before we bring everything home here for those folks who set some time to consult with Coach Julie. But Coach Julie, this is amazing stuff, and it's stuff that hits home with me. I know it hits home with Tommy D as well, because he was talking about it without knowing that you were coming on the show today right before we started. So this is really great stuff. Again, love what you're doing and love how you're doing it.
Thanks.
We got to take a quick break before we bring this thing home. We will be right back with Coach Julie Shulam from Coach Julie, taking everybody from wherever they're at to more productive.
From chaos to order.
Yeah, from chaos to order. It's a
Chaos to
difference.
order.
It's not a disorder. Your life productive finally, especially if you feel like you've been waiting a long time to be productive. I know I have. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
What really drives success in business? Introducing Intangify, the show that explores the intangible assets that create value and growth. I'm Matthew Asbell, your host and an attorney focused on innovation. Join me Fridays at noon Eastern to discover how innovation, culture, and other intangibles shape thriving companies from startups to established businesses. We'll share strategies to unleash your business's true potential. Tune in live on talkradio.nyc Fridays at noon Eastern and Intangify your business today.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Always Friday with me, Stephen Fry, your SMB guy. We are chatting with Coach Julie Shulam. Coach Julie, your life productive, finally. That's what she's about. That's what her course is that she's going to tell you about. If you're a procrastinator, if you have adult ADHD, again, difference, not a disorder. You need help navigating. Coach Julie is the one to help you. If you visit CoachJulie.com, CoachJuli.com, you will see a slew of testimonials. And I got to just put a couple of these up there for TV land to see, because some of them are just so simple. There's the really lengthy ones that go over the nooks and crannies of everything Julie does. It's like, woo, energetic and fun. Julie's an exceptional speaker, great info, and has such a positive, cheerful attitude. Always precise and helpful, thought-provoking speech. Thank you so much. I mean, this is just really simple, related to people types of feelings, right? Without getting really detailed as far as everything that you can do. Good focused talk, excellent ideas. When you talk about the nuts and bolts, I feel like I learned so much. Thanks for sharing your expertise. And my personal favorite, this was the best workshop. I wish she could come home with me.
I have a lot of people say that. Can you just take all this work?
So you have been almost potentially kidnapped by the people that you're working with. So that's very cool. That's awesome. A sure sign that you are the right person to surround yourself with. I know that you have a lot of messages, a lot of quotes you want to get out there. This is where we bring the show home, the message part, from Weekend Insight to Monday Impact. I know you want to share the 4 ways clients benefit from you. We were talking about before the break, the difference between coaches, therapists, mentors, consultants, all of the above. But give everybody out there some sound bites that they can remember over the weekend while they're enjoying their cocktails and golf and softball, if they are brave enough to venture out in this heat. Let's hear some sound bites that people can remember.
Well, I use a lot of quotes. I
Me
collect
too.
a lot of quotes in my world.
Me too.
And I like them. Hey, one of my favorites that I wrote. Oh gosh, I don't even know how many years ago, around procrastination, because this is an issue. We've already talked about it. And what I share with people is it's better to be finished at a B level than to never be done at an A level.
I remember you also saying, especially when most of the world does it at a sea
A lot
level.
of things are done at a sea level, right? So, if you put yourself under so much pressure, I also said, you can't wait for everything to be perfect or you'll be doing nothing perfectly.
I shared with you, the different types of procrastinators and all that. And when I read that book by Jeffrey Combs, I'm like, yeah, the neurotic perfectionist. That's my mother to a T, not just a neurotic Jewish mother. Like,
Well,
but I sometimes I'll even suffer like that. If I feel like I don't have the most perfect system, I don't do it. And that's not good.
No, and I call myself a recovered perfectionist.
Yep.
Is it got to the point where I just was not able to do what I wanted to do because I kept waiting. I had to be perfect, had to be perfect. There is no perfect. There
No
is
such
no
thing does
perfect.
not exist.
And nobody notices it 9 times out of 10
Nope.
anyway. So
Nope.
get it done. Just move forward.
Get her done.
Get it done. Get it done. So my big focus is helping people put structure into place and using their calendar. I refer to scheduling as life's rubric. It helps us to have some idea of what we're doing, planning ahead. If you want to get all that stuff done, Stephen, you got to plan it. You got to plan it.
You're so right. And, along with the perfection doesn't exist. I remember you saying along the way, current and complete is better than fancy and far behind. It's like, why not so, doesn't have to be so
I did
fancy.
not coin that one. That one, that is not one, that was not mine.
Hey, I didn't coin half the stuff that I spread around. And I give people, if you give me your list of quotes, Julie, I promise you, I'll give you credit every single time. But it's like,
I don't take credit where it's not due.
These types of quotes, right? It's a lot of times what I end up talking about, especially with my small, medium-sized business owner clients, is, thoughts like Albert Einstein's got a whole bunch of quotes. I'm sure you've come across plenty of them. The one that I hear spread around the most is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. One of my personal favorites has always been logic will take you from A to B, imagination will take you everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like, when you talk about folks with ADHD, a lot of times they have that creative spark to them. And that's really cool. That's a superpower, but they still need the logical approach to certain things in order to execute.
That's correct. And it's funny, when I was earlier on, I used to always say, when I get stuck, especially with my technology, and I get stuck with something, like, okay, where's someone with ADHD? I need someone with that ability to think outside the box.
So you're just going to call me from now on, right? Coach Julie gets stuck. She's going to call me. Yeah.
It just, because there's just that skill, that ability to think outside the box. This is where all the most wonderful ideas have come from. I actually, when I start with a new client, one of the things I do is I send them a list. It's all the famous people with ADHD, and there's scientists and authors and actors and creators of amazing things and inventors. These are the people that have shaped our world.
Without a doubt. And you gotta have some of that spark there too. So no question, if you're stuck, you can call Tommy D or you can call the SMB guy for an ADHD special viewpoint on everything, without a doubt. Again, the whole craving distraction thing, which I can't wait to read that book, Driven to Distraction, because that one characteristic there. My wife likes to go to bed in total silence. I like noise. I'll have music playing when I go to sleep. It's like it's a big kind of line in the sand between how our brains function, I feel like.
Yeah, actually, there's the science behind the reason why you're doing that, which we'll
save for the next show. Right? We'll give you guys a cliffhanger for everything. But the last thing before I share your answers to my favorite questions with everybody is there's a lot of different types of distractions out there. And when we talked about it briefly, you talked about auditory, the ones you hear. You talked about visual, the ones that you see. And lots of people are stimulated visually. That's why I goof around with the green screen every 5 seconds. But the other ones, the cognitive ones, that's the one that has a lot of variance where people need the most navigation because it's up here.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Hard to get rid of that one.
Tell the voices to go away for 5 minutes,
Yeah, we can shut our windows. We can turn everything off sound-wise, but shutting our brain off, that's a different one. And that takes a lot more work.
Once again, balance at Coach Julie, JULI.com. You want to call Coach Julie? You can do that. 805-570-6660 is the number. Again, you can email her too. CoachJULI.com is the website. Check it out. Lots of good resources, recommendations for books, one-pagers to download, videos to watch, blogs to read. You got it all. You got to call her, especially if you want to be more productive. Julie, can't thank you enough for being on the show today. True pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Before I let you go,
Yes.
we are going to revisit the answers to my favorite questions. Who is your favorite movie or TV show character? What's your favorite movie or TV show? What's your favorite musical instrument? And who's the artist you'd like to hear play it? So without further ado, Coach Julie, like me, used to want to be a doctor. And I took AP biology at 7:30 in the morning, sleeping on my desk. So that was over. But yeah, Coach Julie changed gears as well. But it's no shock that she likes the medical related shows that are out there. So her favorite TV show character is Dr. Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. And not just because she likes the character. This is a character who, 20 seasons or whatever it is of Grey's Anatomy that I actually had to ask you, is that actually still going on? And I know it is in the back of my head because I know my wife still watches it. She's gone through a ridiculous ton of struggle over the 20 seasons, which I'm not going to spoil it for you folks that haven't watched it out there, but check out Grey's Anatomy. But just how much she grew as a person, and through everything, and woman type of leader. I know that speaks volumes for you, but interesting choice. I actually don't think I've had that one as a choice yet. No, I love it. I always love a new discussion brought to the table. So all of the favorite TV shows that you listed after that, all kind of similar themes. So
medical.
So-
yeah,
so-
the thing in there.
so private practice, offshoot of Grey's Anatomy, isn't it?
Grey's Anatomy. Dr.
So
Alfred, ER, I started with ER. Oh my gosh. Oh, I missed that show.
Yeah, you just missed George Clooney, right? I made myself Eric LaSalle and Anthony Cross in there too, but it's good stuff. Like I'm always like wondering how much is real, how much is not real, especially as somebody who wanted to be a doctor. But hey, man, you got to check it out in some way, shape, or form and see what kind of stuff they're doing. You also mentioned one of my favorites. I was trying to guess your next one. I was like Scrubs. You're like, nah, too goofy for me. But House, yes. The weirder the better.
Yeah.
If there's some type of wacky condition, Dr. House is going to find out what it is. So. And then last but not least, as far as the music world goes, you did say that your boyfriend plays some piano and some guitar. You said those were your favorite instruments, but you said you like to hear the piano music from George Winston, recently passed away last month. So rest in peace, George Winston. Great musician, great piano player. Again, I do play the piano. It's one of those things that really soothes me and quiets the ADHD behind my life. But I just don't have much time these days to sit and do it. But I really relish the moments where I do. But I don't know how much time I'm going to have to play, but I am going to go see the Grateful Dead cover band tonight, Splintered Sunlight at Count Basie at the Vogel Theater. Hopefully some of you folks out there will join me locally. Again, once again, happy birthday to my daughter Sloan. Shares my initials, shares some of my struggles, but love you, kid, and look forward to seeing you when you're home in 2 weeks. Until next time, everybody, thank you for joining us on Always Friday. We hope you gained some weekend insight to make a Monday impact. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, after Tommy D on Philanthropy in Focus, right here on talkradio.nyc. Bye-bye, everyone.